Hello,
Yes,
everyone. Sharon from Within Temptation is here with me today. How are you, Sharon? Probably, I think you're excited before the album's release because we actually talk a week before Bleed Out comes out.
absolutely. I'm looking forward to see what people will think of the complete package. Of course, a lot of songs have been released already, but
Mhm.
there's still some surprises still on the album when it comes out. So I'm looking forward to hear everybody's reaction.
Yeah, I think four new songs we're gonna hear on the album because you released the seven on the singles, and as far as I know,
Yes.
this album wasn't recorded, I would say, in a classic way. Like you entered the studio and recorded everything in like a month or something. You just
Yeah,
recorded
exactly.
in like
Yeah, we
3 years, right?
Yes, what we did, we had writing sessions over those years, and it was because of COVID that things went differently than we normally do. Because of the fact that, well, during Corona, we wanted to do something for our fans, but also for ourselves, that we had something to look forward to while being at home, of course. And we ended up releasing more than we wanted to. Looking back on it, also because COVID just continuously was, you know, uh, became a longer period of time than we thought it would ever be. And so we ended up releasing way more songs than we initially had planned.
All right. And how would you compare this album to the previous one, Resist? Because to be honest, I'm a big fan of the Resist album. I remember in 2019 while I was, hearing these songs all the time, and I really love this album. I just, listened to it back right now, like a few days ago, and it's a really good album. And I think it's maybe more conceptual, more consistent than the Bleed Out. But on the other hand, on the Bleed Out, we have many hits. As you, yeah, you released seven of them on the singles. So how would you compare? Is it even possible to compare these two records?
Well, it's difficult to compare always the one album to the other because it's always a search for a certain sound, I guess. And I think we could not have made this album without the Resist album. I think the Resist album was really a big change from where we came from the previous album before Resist, which was Hydra. And yeah, if you consider those are big steps, and I think we're always looking for a new sound. But I think it's quite different again from the last one. That's true. And I love Resist, but I really am really happy about this album as well, especially because we have some sounds that we never had before, a heavier sound. Even was possible to detune a little bit the guitars more than ever, making more options for me also to sing again. So yeah, for me it was a really it was a strange time, of course, with the whole COVID and everything happening, and trying to find our way with new singles and trying to do this on our own we have our own record company now. And so it's at least we're releasing it independently, and so there's a lot of changes since the Resist.
Yeah. Would you agree that right now in the music industry, even in the world of rock and metal, there's probably more pressure on the singles than ever before? And how do you feel about it as an artist? And how do you consider the album itself these days?
Well, in the beginning, we were not sure if we were even going to release an album, maybe just singles, because we wanted to do it really different and just try things out. And for us, it was very important to write in the moment. But then, if you consider something as a single, it needs to be songs need to be really well. They must be single worthy in a
Hmm.
way. So they have to be. They have to be. They have to fulfill a lot of uh, boxes. Like they have to be outspoken and has to be very clear. It should be. It can't be like a very. It can't be with a lot of instrumental parts, for instance, because it is a single and people will turn away from it very soon if you make it too long or too complex. And but still, if you listen to Bleed Out, it's not the typical single song or single material, but there is always pressure for the singles. But you know, if songs aren't good enough, we won't release them. So it's just, we were happy that we had strong material to release, and they ended up as singles in the end.
Yeah, and you as an artist, do you feel like more? Do you prefer more building the whole world, the whole universe? I would say around the single, or maybe you like the form of the album, and uh, something that you can tell the bigger story in that format, and it's obviously longer, and yeah.
No, I always like to have the bigger picture, because stories are what we do. As a musician, you're a storyteller. So the more space and tools I get to do so is for me like the best thing ever. But I think, we did that also with the songs that we have released. And I do think our album does that as well, because what connects our music on this album and the songs between each other, although they have been written the last 3-4 years separately from each other, they are all about freedom from different perspectives. And first, when we started writing, it was more about social themes in society, like trying to support the individual to be an individual instead of trying to be like everyone else, because we feel the need to conform to a bigger group to fit in, and that we try to applaud actually diversity in many ways, and that there's only change possible through diversity, because people will think differently and get new ideas because of people. And I think as humans, we grow from that. And later on, when the war started in the Ukraine by Russia, that inspired us to write about that again, especially because it was such a shock to us. And again, it's about freedom, but then in the way that people force war upon you. And we have a song like Bleed Out, which is about the resistance in Iran by women and men from a new generation. It's also a cry for freedom, a stand for freedom. And so I think these songs are all connected, and it's a process. And I think you can see the journey we have taken when we started with releasing songs to where we ended. You can almost put history beside it, what happened in Europe and America and everywhere in the world, next to the album, because it was inspired by that.
Mm-hmm. I think Within Temptation are, in my opinion, one of the best bands in the world, in the I would say combining heaviness with great melodies, great choruses. How are you guys doing that? How to do that? If you could tell us.
Well, thank you for the compliment. But the way I think because we grew up in the 80s, where songs were compact and very clear it had a certain structure, but also melodies were the most important thing in the 80s when we were kids and growing up. And I think that's in our DNA. So I think, and we love melody. We love the 80s also, but we also love new music and new blood and new ideas from new bands. But it's more like we love melody, and we love heavy music also, because that's our biggest love, is heavy music. But we also want to have that combination with melody, and and we want to play around with that as much as possible. And that makes us maybe not the heaviest band around, but it's what we like doing. So we combine two worlds together that we enjoy very much.
Yeah, that's a great combination for me as a listener, because I like heavy music, heavy guitars, but also the melody is probably the most important thing for me. So the bands like Within Temptation or Him, that I'm a big fan of for many years, are doing that great, and I think you are one of the best bands in doing this in the world. You guys have been touring a lot recently, in the recent years, I would say. The huge tour with Iron Maiden, another one, co-headline tour with Evanescence, a really big one too. And right now you guys are having a little break, and you're gonna come back next year. But are you guys feeling, I would say, any stronger and bigger as a band, as a people about these two, or even more because you played with Iron Maiden many shows? Are you guys feeling stronger after these tours?
Well, it's we feel richer in a way that we have so much more beautiful memories of. We were able to do amazing shows with Evanescence, and playing in front of as a support act for Iron Maiden. That was like, for the guys, they're big fans of Iron Maiden, so that was amazingly a lot of fun and beautiful memories. So in that option, way richer than we were before, because we have so many new memories to look up on to. And of course, you as a band grow from that, because people will see that you are able to fill up those venues together with Evanescence, for instance, in Europe. And it was a very successful tour. I think our fans really enjoyed it because we have an amazing overlap in the music style in a certain way. I think the melancholy mostly. And I think, that was really, really cool to do, because you don't see a lot of other bands co-headlining and doing a tour together, which is actually a lot of fun. It's work, but it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed ourselves very much.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's not easy, I would say, for the European bands. For us, you're from the Netherlands and from even Polish bands, to, I would say, break through on the scene. And obviously, we in Poland have, for example, Behemoth, Vader, Riverside, bands like that. But why do you think it might be hard to make a worldwide career for a band from the other countries than UK and US? It's because of the language, or there's something else that is hard?
Well, I think there are some exceptions to the rule, like you said, that do break through and get the chance. But it is difficult, because it starts already from where do you release your album, for which record company, for instance. Because if you're going to sign in a country which is not that big, like, for instance, the Netherlands, then the record company mostly focus on, making you big in the Netherlands, because that's where it's a money thing, Unless you can be signing up to an international company, they will try to launch you internationally. And that's something that we wanted to do from the day we started. It's like, okay, we need to go to a bigger, a record company that can launch us in many countries, not just our own country, and be focused only on that. They say, well, of course, we'll let you go to the other countries as well. But it's a money thing, they want to earn money in the Netherlands for their company in the Netherlands. So they won't promote you outside of that. It's very difficult. Sometimes they do, but a lot of times it doesn't happen. And you just become one of those bands who wants to. It's difficult if you're not with a big record company that is international. And so that's one thing. Another thing is that a lot of those big companies, are mainly focused on their own scene. So if you have like streaming platforms that are located or have their head office in a very big country overseas, they won't notice. They don't know every band from Poland and the Netherlands and from France and, the European side. You need to really stand out to really be noticed, and even tour in America, so they will know that you're there. It's crazy, but that's how it works, because otherwise they will only take their own bands from their own area, I think. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that I think are like that. I'm not sure if it's completely I'm not sure 100% sure that it's completely true, but that's my take on it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I think the US market might be, I would say, the hardest to break through for the European bands. Is it like that you have to deliver something really special to break through on the US market as a European band?
Well, it's mostly difficult because it's such a big country. It's you can tour endlessly, and it's such a different ball game than because, like, North America is like the whole of Europe, more or less, I guess, maybe bigger. And it's already difficult to do it in Europe because we're there's so many different countries. They have different states. And yeah, you can't, like I said, do you want to tour endlessly? Then America is the place to be. But it's difficult at the same time because it's not connected to each other, I guess. Some have a radio station in, for instance, Florida, and they will have one in New York, and they more or less work together. They have the same name, and then it's easier. But there's also, I hear from a lot of European bands that it's difficult because the country is so big, so many hours to drive before you get from one show to the other show. So, and with the gas prices, car prices, rental prices, it's all very difficult to tour in there, actually.
Yeah. Being a musician is one thing, but there's also being a listener, I think, for everyone. And how do you listen to music? Is it just streaming, or maybe you have some special rituals like, listening to vinyls or something like that?
Of course, do the streaming, of course, mostly because it's easy. And I get to find new bands that I didn't know yet, which I like. I'm also a bit afraid that we're always, because of that if you listen to a particular bands, that you won't get to something completely different because the algorithms aren't based on that, of course. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I get to hear bands that are similar to what I like, but I would also like to be surprised sometimes by something that I would never otherwise encounter, and that you won't have with streaming platforms, in which I think is the lesser side of the platforms. But I also listen to vinyl a lot, especially on rainy days like today. It's a really crappy day today. A lot of rain, no sun. And then I would love to have candlelight on and then vinyl on the table. It's amazing.
Yeah, great. You guys, as a Within Temptation, had a chance to feel the magic of Woodstock Festival in Poland. Right now, yes. Poland Rock. And how
it's called Poland Rock now?
Yeah, it's called Poland Rock. Right?
Okay.
Like a few years ago, they changed the name.
Oh, the name. Okay.
And how do you remember that time? Because it was in 2015. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, correct.
yeah. But many artists are saying that it's a special festival, and I'm curious what memories do you have from that?
Well, first of all, I was overwhelmed because there were so many people. I've never played for so many people at once. And now Piotr was there, that we did The Whole World Is Watching with, and on stage, and he was playing with his band Coma. And it was just a crazy day with so many people. I saw people on boats coming by in front of the stage, rubber boats, the craziest things, and people were out of their minds, and I loved it.
Yeah. Okay. Please tell me, how are you taking care of your voice and of your health while especially being on the tour? You have some maybe special routine that you do or something like that?
Yes, well, we try to work out. Of course, there's a lot of times we have sometimes a day off in a hotel, and you can take a yoga class somewhere, or you can work out in a gym or swim even. Those kind of things are important to have really relax, and not just the vocal cords, but also the body and the mind. So that's interesting to do, and also to have like a really cultural trip outside of the normal daily routine is also very good for you. But besides, before I go on stage, it's more like getting into the shows, looking at what's happening in the country I'm playing, in the city I'm playing. Is there any elections coming up, or is there something else happening? Is something special, something funny, maybe a festival, or maybe a festivity, like a national free day about something. And I talk about those kind of things, and to prepare myself for it, talk a little bit in the native tongue, to say something to the people that I'm playing for. So those kind of things are important, and warming up my vocal cords with tea and honey and ginger sometimes when it's needed. And those all of that is very important to prepare yourself for the next show.
All right. You guys are coming back to Poland next year in October. You guys are going? You're gonna play in Łódź, in Atlas Arena.
Yeah.
And just for the end, a few words for your Polish fans that are maybe coming to this show.
Well, hello, everybody. I really loved playing last time with the Worlds Collide Tour in your country, and I can't wait to play for you in the next year, 2024. I really hope you like it, and I hope to see you there. Let's have the same party that we did last time. And I know it's very special time for you now this weekend, also with elections. I hope you're going to vote, and I hope you'll have a great year next year, and see you then.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for a great conversation. That was totally
Likewise.
A pleasure for me. And all the best for you with the album release, with the tour next year. All the best for you. Thank you so much once again.
You're welcome. Dziękuję.
Dziękuję. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.